So for the Coral intake, we've done a lot of changes in the past few weeks, going from BetaBot to the final CompBot iteration. One of them is implementing bearing retainers on all the bearings, and that basically prevents them from popping out when they're hit. It uses passive rollers to reorient the Coral from any orientation into the desired one, and it uses passive ramps to center the Coral inside the intake, and that allows us to send it into our handoff and pick it up.
Okay, so on this year's robot, we're gonna have both an arm and a wrist. So on the arm, we are using a lantern gear, which we used on our BetaBot at an off-season competition at Havoc, and we found that it was really good because it had very little backlash. And then with the wrist, we decided to do a dead axle with 3D printed plugs in 2x2s. This allows for very precise movements, and it's something we're very proud of because it hasn't really been done before in terms of the way that we've made it.
All right, so we've had some changes with our algae intake. So essentially our over the bumper has gone through some development. We've made some choices. We decided that it's not a good fit for the robot. We're gonna use our claw exclusively for intaking algae. And the claw plate has gone under some changes recently. So when we tested in the BetaBot, programmers returned some feedback to us, said the limit switch wasn't really consistent with detecting algae. So now we switched to a beam brake.
After our testing at 103 for the BetaBot, we noticed a lot of problems. Mainly was problems with our spooling, our pulleys, and our stability for the elevator. So for the CompBot, we wanted to address these changes. First was the spooling, where we completely changed it. Before, it was kind of two pulleys that kind of jut out perpendicularly from the bottom of the elevator. Now we moved it to a horizontal spool behind the elevator so that we make sure that the spooling is consistent all the time. Next up were the pulleys. We noticed a lot of problem with our tensioning, so in the CompBot we made to use a variety of pulley sizes to make sure that we address this problem. And finally was our stability. We noticed that the BetaBot was shaking around a lot, and the turnbuckles weren't really that effective. So we removed the bottom 2x2 and changed the positions of the turnbuckles so that we make sure that the elevator stays straight and not shake the whole entire time.
So this weekend we're going to be getting the CompBot finally. So luckily it's going to look pretty much exactly like the BetaBot is, so porting the code over should be pretty simple. We've already tuned the gains for most of the mechanisms, and now we're just working out a couple bugs, but overall we should be good for our trip to our friends 103, the Cybersonics. They have a full field, and we're going to be going there on Monday just to make sure that the auto paths we have working on the BetaBot will also be working on the CompBot, and for our rookie drivers to get a ton of practice where we'll be cycling both with the CompBot and the BetaBot, and we'll bring the drive base from Alpha to play a little defense on them as well.
So the climber has had 3 main iterations. We have a harpoon climber, we have just a hook climber, and then we've just iterated a new single pole climber. The harpoon climber works by driving straight into the cage and having latches that latch onto the poles. That's pretty much similar to the hook. It just uses hooks instead of latches. We don't really like those because it seems too precise for our driver, so we made a new single pole climber, which acts almost the same as the hook climber, just on one pole. And I think we're gonna like that better because it's less accurate and we can just hook onto one pole and not have to worry about attaching onto both.
So we just finished constructing our drive base for a competition robot. And this year has a couple new features. This is the first year we've used 2x1 for the frame. We've machined it ourselves on an Omeo, as opposed to using bent sheet metal from our sponsor CCC. And we've also decided to go with the WCP swerves this year.